Baseball stadiums and their unique designs have always been part of the sport's charm, dating back to its early days. Each park features different dimensions, designs, and artifacts that evoke a sense of nostalgia, now blended with new technologies. For a while, however, baseball drifted away from that identity with the rise of what were described as cookie-cutter multi-purpose stadiums. While they had their benefits, these stadiums lacked the same emotional appeal and visual impact. That is, until Baltimore's Camden Yards arrived in 1992 and changed everything. Let's take a look at how Camden Yards transformed stadium design forever. Ask any Major League fan what makes baseball unique, and they'll likely point out the fact that every park is different. Beyond team colors and logos, the soul of each stadium lies in its layout. In fact, the only standardized measurements in baseball are the bases being 90 feet apart and the pitcher's mound being 60 feet 6 inches from home plate. Everything else is left up to the teams. The first steel and concrete ballpark opened in 1909, Shibe Park in Philadelphia. It was built out of necessity, as the Philadelphia Athletics often had to turn away up to 20,000 fans from Columbia Park. Following Shibe, numerous historic stadiums began to emerge across the country. In 1912 alone, Redland Field, Cincinnati, Tiger Stadium, Detroit, and Fenway Park, Boston, opened. Fenway still stands today. Other iconic fields followed: Forbes Field, Comiskey Park, the Polo Grounds, Crosley Field, Ebbets Field, Sportsman's Park, Yankee Stadium, and Wrigley Field, which, like Fenway, is still active today. These ballparks commonly featured steel trusses, brick facades, sunroofs over gently sloping upper decks, asymmetrical fields, and natural grass. Often nestled in urban neighborhoods, they were close to train stations, small businesses, and homes. Though privately owned, these parks felt like public institutions, symbols of the city and of a shared American spirit. They metaphorically represented an era where Americans felt deeply connected to their city. But after World War II, everything began to change. The U.S. experienced a cultural shift known as suburbanization, a population migration from urban centers to the suburbs. This was driven by economic expansion and a massive housing boom. Along with these new neighborhoods came new stadiums. Most notably, multi-purpose stadiums that began appearing in the 1960s. These stadiums were usually built near highways, surrounded by massive parking lots, and largely disconnected from public transit. They were functional, yes, but also lifeless. Football and baseball teams could both play there thanks to rotating seating sections that accommodated different field layouts. Though the idea wasn't entirely new, many NFL teams played in baseball stadiums during the early 20th century. This was the first time cities started building venues specifically meant to serve both sports. Most of these multi-use stadiums were oval-shaped, and their biggest selling point was cost efficiency. Public funds only had to support one facility rather than two. They were practical but lacked personality. Nearly all of them featured AstroTurf, since natural grass couldn't grow well indoors or in cold weather cities. At the time, synthetic turf was the only viable solution. The first of these multi-purpose stadiums was RFK Stadium in Washington, D.C., which opened in 1961. Over the next 2 decades, they popped up across the country: Shea Stadium, 1964, Atlanta Fulton County Stadium and the Astrodome, 1965, Bush Memorial Stadium and the Oakland Coliseum, 1966, San Diego Stadium, 1967, Riverfront Stadium and Three Rivers Stadium, 1970, Veterans Stadium, 1971, and the Kingdome, 1976. Still, when you look at those 11 multi-purpose stadiums, they all have a strikingly similar appearance. That's why they earned the nickname cookie-cutter stadiums. They were costified and large, producing loud crowds and memorable moments for many fans. But by the late 1980s, the charm had worn off. The last of these was the Sky Dome in Toronto, which opened in 1989. Though more advanced, it too was designed to host Canadian football and basketball. Interestingly, a different kind of stadium had quietly emerged just before that. Pilot Field, now Solon Field, opened in Buffalo, New York in 1988. It was designed to attract a potential MLB expansion team that never came. Today it's home to the AAA Buffalo Bisons and still holds the highest capacity, 16,000, of any minor league ballpark. It was also the first stadium designed in the retro classic style by HOK Sports. The design was a hit. Over 1.18 million fans attended games that year, an unprecedented number for a minor league team. Sports columnist Eric Brazil called it baseball's prototype for the 1990s and beyond. He was right. Soon after, HOK Sports was commissioned by the Baltimore Orioles to design a new stadium. Memorial Stadium, a multi-purpose venue, had served as the Orioles' home since 1954. But after the Baltimore Colts left for Indianapolis in 1984, officials feared the Orioles would leave too. Plans were drawn for a new ballpark to keep the team in Baltimore. The initial design from HOK looked similar to New Comiskey Park, now guaranteed rate field, but team president Larry Lucchino rejected it. He wanted something different, an old-fashioned park with modern amenities. Architect and city planner Janet Marie Smith was hired to execute that vision, while Ashton Design crafted retro signage and even a 19th century style clock. The result was Oriole Park at Camden Yards. Construction began in 1989 and lasted 33 months, costing $110 million 0 cents, roughly $246 million 0 cents today. The park featured several fan-suggested features, including a unique two-tier bullpen design with picnic areas. Statues of Orioles legends were placed around the stadium, including one of Babe Ruth, born just 2 blocks away. It also featured straight outfield wall segments, a design not seen since Ebbets Field. Oriole Park at Camden Yards opened to immediate acclaim. With a capacity of 48,000, it sold out nearly every night in its first season. In their final year at Memorial Stadium, the Orioles sold 2.5 million tickets. In Camden Yards' first year, they surpassed that by 1 million. Though the team was competitive and still had Cal Ripken Jr., the real star was the stadium itself. Local radio host Nestor Patoricio said it was like Disney World had opened downtown. Baltimore Mayor Kurt Schmoke called it a moment that renewed people's faith in government. That may sound like an overstatement, but Camden Yards quickly took on a mythical status, and its influence was immense. The park inspired a generation of stadiums known as retro classic or retro modern parks. These parks embraced the traditional asymmetrical layouts and brick facades while incorporating modern luxuries. Over the next 2 decades, 21 MLB parks followed the Camden Yards model, including Coors Field, Oracle Park, and the highly acclaimed PNC Park. These projects don't always deliver economic returns. While cities like Columbus and Sacramento have seen some benefit, success is inconsistent. As fans learn more about these funding deals, support is waning, even among diehards. Still, stadiums like Camden Yards offer cultural and social value, much like libraries, museums, or parks. Mayor Schmoke even admitted, "We didn't go into it thinking this was going to be a major moneymaker for the city, but for sports, Camden Yards signaled a turning point, a rebirth of stadiums with character, identity, and soul, a perfect metaphor for baseball itself."